Now you had a curve in it. Yeah. Put that back in.
Cut, please. Open the door and get her out.
Mistakes, Marg.
This was a picture that I really wanted to do, and I waited for because I came out of doing science fiction pictures. I was an effects designer before I was a production designer. So I have a special love for science fiction, and I collect science fiction and comic books and stuff, and I'd really been waiting to do a big action adventure monster movie like this.
I think that when you start a movie, everybody has a level of expectation as to what it's supposed to look like and what it's supposed to feel like.
I like to have the production designer involved as soon as you can have him involved, because in my experience the production designer has a big impact on how a show works, and John did have a big contribution to this film.
Well, the first thing is to try and get a sense of what the picture the director wants to make. So often what I'll do is I'll look at a lot of movies the director's done before. This particular director, Roger Donaldson, likes Steadicam. So you think in terms of making sets that you can really move through that are very dimensional. This is not a guy who really likes static compositions. He likes to walk through things.
But maybe get them to sort of give us, if we get a little bit of sort of sideways stuff, so we see that, and then counter a little bit here to get down there. Like we starting to close those doors.
I like to move the camera a lot. I like to sort of make the audience feel like they're really involved in it and part of it. The moving camera is something that the audience has become very much more familiar with. They expect the camera to be taken where they want to be.
Creating things where he can really run wild. That's really been the fun of this. Then there's a matter of, do you want it to look like other science fiction movies? Do you want it to look realistic?
I keep forgetting you guys are here.
I approach my filmmaking from a sort of trying to make things as real as you can.
He felt that the effects and that the monster and the rest of those things would be much more startling if the world was a real world.
I wanted it to not feel like, these were sets that were created, but to feel that they were real sets. I wanted it to feel like the movie takes place on the streets of Los Angeles.
So we've tried to make our hardware and those things seem real and seem not outlandishly futuristic.
I didn't want it to feel sort of as though it happened on a movie studio.
Well, this is the classic production designer dilemma, is the job is to make things look real. You don't want to break the audience away from the experience of what they're having. From a design point of view, what was really fun to do in this were the two laboratories. We started out with a very high-tech white room with a kind of a very dark sort of cube with this the girl is inside of.
Well, in the first part of the movie, we find her in like a glass enclosure where she's being studied by scientists.
Right, everybody.
Action!
Back up. Keep further back.
Well, it starts out that I'm in the glass enclosure, and these two guys hook up cyanide canisters to some kind of a funnel that flows into the enclosure, and the gas starts pouring in, and I get freaked out.
We wanted a laboratory that felt like something that could be real, that's horrible and creepy because it's like an isolation chamber or almost like a diving bell that being locked inside of it.
Right, cut and open the door and get her out. Cut, please, open the door and get her out. Thank you. Tell her cat she can hear.
I get freaked out, break through like 3-inch thick shatterproof glass, and kill a couple people along the way, and find myself in an open area with helicopters and guys chasing me and shooting me.
So that from that point on, she becomes a hell of a lot more aggressive because she becomes, a survivor, and not knowing what the hell's going on with her. She finds herself on her own.
And action!
The running wasn't so as exhausting as sitting in a makeup chair for 4 hours getting the fat face on was. That was probably the toughest part of the whole movie, but I really enjoyed it because I'd never done anything with special effects like that before.
3 tail markers.
Rolling in marks. Marks. Here we go. Action. Stop a minute. Translate that. Just put along the lenses. I think
That was great. That was great on this side. That side, you guys were still being pansies.
I get cocooned, and I grow up to be like, 18 or 19, and that's when Natasha steps in.
For me, the best part of making the switch from modeling to acting is doing something every day that you're afraid of, that you fear. And for me, the next movie, 10 years later, the next movie I do, I know I show up some days and there's fear. There's new people involved, there's new actors, there's new scenes, there's new material, and there's fear, and there's, pushing yourself to accomplish something, to get over those barriers.
Are you foreign? Do you speak English?
Yes.
I think that initially she learns by imitation. I think that she observes and she sees results, she sees cause and effects, and I think that she sets herself on a similar path.
Because her childhood has been in an isolated environment, she's learning as she goes.
You think about the fact of this person who's like experiencing the world for the first time, a grown adult who every time they taste something it's new, every time they see something it's new, every time they touch something it's new.
Oh, she picks up various things like the credit card. She sees within in a little mini mart, she sees a woman using a credit card. And then she sees on a TV commercial a girl changing her hair color. And that's where she gets the idea later on in the movie to become a brunette.
I always learn. You learn from doing. I mean, I personally learn from doing. I learn from being on the set. I learn from watching other actors. I learn from different techniques and talking to other actors. And so for me, that's where I learn the most.
However, I've got to see what the well, it matches the other shot better. But my problem is now, is she looking? I have to look when she chopped the thumb off.
Well, when she chopped your thumb off in this shot.
No, the close-ups I did of her.
Directors, have a lot going on. So you spend a lot more time with the actors on the downtime, waiting for shots to be set up to actually, get into full discussions about that kind of stuff.
I'm just kidding, Mark. You're treating me like shit.
You are so abusive to us.
Well, I mean, I guess we could.
Oh my God!
This being is fresh and new, and she's looking at the world for the first time. And in the media, which is what controls a lot of the minds of the people, and we watch that control on her in her own sensory development, you know, how she learns how to relate with people of the opposite sex and how they relate. You'll be able to see the way people exchange, you know, in their relationships. And then there's sexual mating habits, you know.
I think she's trying to mate, reproduce.
I was reading a book on the body, and the book said, we will spend a tremendous amount of this book and time on reproduction because that is the engine of biology. And I went, that's the right motive. That's the second half of this movie.
Roll, please.
Got it. Right, Mark? Yes, here we go. Action!
We realise that she's on a process of accelerated natural selection. She's like the Darwinian theory in 2 weeks.
Cameras on the move.
This is roll 230, species of GMUA, the 19th of October, 94, 15 IPS, 2-track, 30 frames, 10 reference -1K1.
Since this is so vital to the survival of the species and an individual, that genetically it has been developed that certain species can smell unhealthy other species, even genetically unhealthy ones.
All right, maybe she rejected him. She probably has some special kind of senses. Rats can sense diseased or genetic damage in their potential mates, so we can test his body for any hereditary diseases, any defects that would have made him a loser, essentially.
I'd say she fits the classic definition of a psychopath. Nothing to inhibit her. No moral sense, no social structure.
She wasn't exactly smothered with a mother's love or talkative manners, you know what I mean?
I asked what was happening.
He did something to her, she was straight.
I think she mostly responds to the predatory sexual nature of man. And when they become too aggressive or sexually predatory or aren't useful to her, she acts like an animal.
I don't think that's really surprising to me. I mean, she is a woman after all. So whatever she can use, I'm sure she's going to use, you know? I don't think it's any great revelation or anything. If anything, it probably just makes her a little bit more dangerous. Because there's a lot of guys out there looking to get laid. And, you know, she's very willing. She's over there right now.
Marg has her own biological imperative to pursue in the process of this, which is a kind of mirror to Sill's to a great extent. And we humans have our own biological imperative, and she and Michael do too.
Margaret? Sir.
Hi.
Hi. We wanted to have a romantic scene. It was good for me because I hardly ever get to do that kind of thing. I'm always the bad guy and I never get the girl. And so we both wanted to make it playful, but we wanted to make it nice. So we just kind of made it up on the spot and just kind of fooled around, and Roger let us do it. And you know, he would laugh at certain things. So I showed my butt in that scene. I get out of bed and put my pants up. That was my idea. I wanted to show my butt. They didn't show it long enough.
What's the problem, Dad? I just got this terrible feeling. I just got this strange thought. You know, I got this image of Sil with on.
Action.
This is our sewer set. A lot of this is prefabricated in the mill. All the ribs are all cut. The ribs can all be cut individually. And you don't really go on stage until you really need the stage. So you do a lot of building beforehand. One of the things that's interesting is you notice all these ropes. Again, what I talked about earlier about trying to build a set that can really be shot. This is all designed so you can pull off either side of it, and you can pull off, there's a long strip down the middle of each tube so that anything can be lifted off. This big room here opens like a picnic basket. So each those two wings can come up so that we can get light in it wherever the director wants to go. He can again really run wild in this set. The highest point you can see right here is actually a duplicate of a basement that was in the Biltmore Hotel. We ran all through the basement of the Biltmore, running wild with smoke, and we actually had to paint it down. The basement of the Biltmore is beautiful. We made it look incredibly funky and dirty, and we ended by measuring their room and duplicating it on stage here. What happens in this room is that our heroes are chasing the monster, and they go through several metal doors that she's just burst through, and they finally come down to the lowest level of the basement, and there's a manhole cover that's been flung to one side. It goes into a tiny little tube, and they have to climb down through this tube, and you can see that the tube leads you downward and then into a sort of a transverse tube. We should go inside.
Okay, now it's probably inside.
Okay, come around here. So this is our sewer. Come on in. Right now our sewer's a little dry. It'll eventually have, in these areas, we'll have about 6 inches of water, which will be dyed so that it'll be, you won't be able to see that it's no deeper than 6 inches. It'll appear to be a lot deeper. This is where our monster is blasted through this grating. We still need to do a little more work on this. Well, now that we're in the bulk of the sewer, this is, they follow a trail of bubbles in this direction down to this big room. Well, this is one of the areas that was built to take advantage of the actual pits that were already in the stage when we came here. So we contrived to make all these bends work for us so that we have the parts that are only 6 inches deep, but they flow into this area, which is much deeper. And we can have a gag here where the monster can burst out of the water and nail one of our heroes and drag him back under. And we can have any amount of action here we want.
Okay, stand by. Here we go. Shooting.
No problem.
You all ready? Come on, Jerry. Shooting. Be quiet. Turn over.
We're rolling.
Speed on me.
Rolling quietly.
Here we go. And action. See that? Help him up. Help them up. Coming through. Draw him up. Back to no sound.
Load it up again, Tim.
The truth is, this is an utter fantasy. The sewers of LA are not this big. I mean, in this case, we're much more inspired by, say, The Third Man, you know, something like that. There are some big tunnels under Los Angeles where they say you find cars and stuff, but these are really like drainage runoffs for the river. As far as an actual sewer like this, the sewers in LA are much tighter. They do have a lot of things growing in them like this.
Okay, before we go. All right, stand by for the picture. Are we good on the oscillation and everything for you, Van Peter? Okay, can we get Ben in for water, please?
Don't put up, no water. Beauty. Push back into the